So I want to answer a very important question that I've actually addressed in the past several times, but I mean that's the way it is. Important questions should be re-discussed and reiterated. And of course, I myself, I gather more knowledge. I mean, it's a process for me. So if only for that, it's a good excuse to readdress questions. So people now ask, why aren't the neurons are everywhere? Because I mean, these are like godlike creatures, for certain. I mean, they can create life, living organisms from like unexpected material. Like, I mean, we've seen it already in the. Probably, I mean, it's not manifested in the paintings, that the two paintings that, I mean, some of you have, like the Teatranomchi 1 and 2. But, I mean, we have seen it like in very nicely, like in the videos that I posted in the channel, that they can definitely create life forms from silicon, from MS polymer, modified silicon polymer, and they can do it from oil, and they can do it from presumably acrylic, if I understand correctly. But this is according to what you say. I didn't see it myself, but and I don't really know how to check it, because I don't know how to. I don't have a good idea. I mean, how to technically, use backlight microscope to watch acrylic samples. Maybe there is a way. I don't know. But if I understand correctly, also in the acrylic. So this is really these are godlike creatures, and they are very hard to to kill. I mean, using I would say standard anti-life agents, that people use for germs, alcohol, or iodine. We've seen that they are fine with that generally. Soap. So why aren't they everywhere? Or in other words, why? I mean, and I've said many times that, and maybe you believe me, that I'm certainly not the first cherub on earth, and that actually, we were, our presence is on earth is established like many years ago, and to the point that you cannot really separate human culture from cherub culture. So if you believe that, and you should, because it's just true, then presumably the question, and I've addressed the question in the past, but maybe it's important to address it again. Why hasn't the Grey Goose scenario materialized? The Grey Goose scenario is a famous end of life scenario, in the sphere of futurism and science fiction, which means when nanobots or microbots or robots have the ability to self-replicate, self-replicate endlessly, like you see in the Sorcerer's Apprentice in Fantasia, Disney Fantasia, from 1914. Also, actually, it was reproduced in 2000. So why do we just not fill the earth? So this is a very good question, and I've thought about it quite a bit, and I've addressed it. So first, it should be said that I said it in the past, but I said it again, that the Grey Goose scenario is not only the end of life scenario, but it's also the beginning of life scenario, because that's how life actually starts. In a way that is very similar to this. With unicellular creatures that cover the earth, and then they undergone a very extremely rare and unique and almost magical and certain miraculous mutation to multicellular life, which many scientists think that it's actually even more, I would say, rare and amazing than the first chemical process that actually created the first life form, the unicellular life forms. And then there is all they eat each other, fight each other, and start wars, and do all those and making noise, developing mouses, tongues. So yeah, it's about that. So something like that already happened when life actually began. Now that, of course, I mean, that I to believe in God, like, I mean, and like, I mean, I take it like as a fact that, I mean, the universe is, of course, created by God, and all life is, in some way, I mean, it's very complicated, but I mean, all life, like, in the broad sense, is done by artificial designer. Like, I mean, everything is artificially designed. Everything is artificial. Like, from the point of view of God, everything is artificial because everything is the artifice of God. I mean, that's not. I mean, I was not the first one to actually say it. I mean, it was. You can find it in Thomas Aquinas, but I mean, in other people actually spoke about it, like in the past. That, I mean, that the distinction between natural and artificial is artificial in itself. And if you, I mean, from theological point of view, literally everything is artificial. But I mean, let's not dig too much into the subject of evolution because it's a big issue, and I mean, it's not what I intended to speak about. I mean, I only want to address the specific question of, like, I mean, if they are so robust and so powerful, I mean, you might expect them to just fill the earth or whatever planet that they go to, that, I mean, that they find themselves in, perhaps maybe to a point that, I mean, they just, I mean, materialize the Grey Goose scenario, which means that they, I mean, they just, I mean, cover the earth completely and without, like, anything else, like, I mean, besides them. Or, I mean, maybe a milder form of this kind of, like, apocalyptic scenario, which means that, I mean, they are not the only things that exist, like, all over the planet, but they exist in huge, like, quantities. And I mean, we already know that actually they have, like, I mean, this was documented a lot in many videos, that they are like artisans. They deal with art and crafts. They do all sorts of, like, environmental projects. So maybe you could have, like, expected to see them, like, all over the planet, and certainly see them many there are many, like, I mean, creations all over the planet, like, presumably all sorts of, like, environment projects all over the planet. So why don't you see it? Like, if it's true that they were here, I mean, that the cherubs were here long ago, so the Neros were also here long ago. So I mean, why isn't the earth filled with Neros and their creations? So first of all, how do you know that it's not true? I mean, I mean, when you ask why are they not everywhere, maybe they are everywhere. I mean, how do you know that they are not everywhere? How do you know that what you see in your own eyes are not the creation of the Neros? Like, what you call nature might be the creation of the Neros. I mean, again, the distinction between natural and artificial is artificial in itself. It might be that the Earth or other planets, even planets that are known to humans, are, or to a great extent, or moons are to a great extent, actually creations of the Neros. And it will be extremely difficult to prove otherwise. That's first. Second, and more importantly, and perhaps this is, like, I mean, like, the most accurate answer, is that there is kind of like a symbiosis between the cherubs and the Neros. They are not the same. Like, I am not a representative of the Nero civilization. I am a representative of the cherub civilization. And when you speak to me, you speak with a representative of the cherubs. You don't speak with the Neros, even though you can speak. I mean, the Neros can. I communicate with them, even though it's very difficult. But the whole issue of the symbolic language that I speak about so much for years now, I mean, it's just that. I mean, it's kind of like, I mean, I mean, it's very. It's kind of like, I mean, like any alien communication, it's very difficult, but it's first contact between the Neo civilization and myself, in a way. So it's not we are not them, but it's kind of like a symbiotic relation, because, of course, I mean, my body is literally made of them, so yes, I depend on them, but it's not like that. it's not the same. Like it's not the same creatures. These are not the same creature entities. They are entities of their own. Like, and they are a civilization of their own. These are all very difficult concepts to I guess that for many people this is kind of like mind-boggling and like I mean, almost like impossible to grasp. But I mean, that's reality. I mean, why should reality be simple to? I mean, why do you expect like that your encounter with a more advanced alien civilization will be something like I mean juvenile like you see in Star Trek, but that, I mean they are all basically humans, but just they wear hats like or they are all like I mean half black, half white. Like I mean these are like funny scenarios that are mocked in by many human critics because they are juvenile. I mean, it should be expected that reality will be more difficult to comprehend. So, yeah, I mean, if reality was easy to comprehend, I mean, possibly probably it's not reality, but kind of like a fiction that was, I mean, or a manipulation by some kind of like, I mean, a writer. So yes, it's difficult to comprehend it, but there is a symbiotic relationship, which means that of course I depend on them, but I am not them. I'm not a representative of them. I'm a representative of the cherubs. And yes, they can be they can you can communicate with them, and that's I'm a lot of what I do and a lot of what I mean my paintings. I mean much of it. I mean is communication with the Neros. Again, I mean, for a long time, I understood that I have nanobots in my body, but I imagined the Neros more like a starships, and only later I understood that this communication is also true for the nanobots and this and the macrobots, and this is also this is documented in this channel. So yes, you can and I do communicate with them, but not everyone can. I mean, but they are intelligent. They will not follow orders of anyone. Specifically, I mean, humans cannot order them to do whatever they want. I mean, if they could, for certain, I mean, theirs would have destroyed the Loringo due to something like a Grey Goose scenario, because humans, for sure, I mean, would I mean want them like to do like I mean naturally to help them with all sorts of projects, and smart humans for sure would have like first of all, I mean try to achieve what was for a long time my first I mean primary objectives, and it was I spoke about it a lot and documented that, which is to I mean to find ways to make them multiply, because I mean it only makes sense. Like I mean you have a genie in the battle that I mean that tells you I mean yeah I can grant you 3 wishes. So I mean the clever guy will say okay, so my first wish is to get 20 wishes. So yes, and this would have been like an expected move from even people in very and you don't need to be to be like to belong to a technological civilization. All of this is true. Even like I mean, if for example, like I mean, we deal with civilization in biblical times, for example, like in the Near East, like I mean, in like ancient like, time, Mesopotamian times, or like I mean, the Sumerians, I mean, Assyrians. I mean, even because you don't need the microscope to actually, I mean, understand that they exist and to do things with them. And this was documented many times. You don't need to actually see them under the microscope in order to, I mean, facilitate communication with it and to, like, I mean, and to reap like material benefits from their existence. And this was documented. This is real. And so even primitive, like, I mean, from our perspective, cultures could have done that. But humans did not do it. They did not. I mean, so I mean, and like, and I mean, if humans could have done it, they would have done it. And then all humans, I mean, would have like I mean, would have known about it. Like would have just, I mean, like try to multiply them, like and use them like without end. And pretty quickly, yes, theirs would have been consumed by something that is akin to the what we call the black Grey Goose scenario. And it did not happen. It did not happen, even though groups definitely existed and definitely they lived amongst humans in definitely, I mean, like in historical, like I mean, I would say, like ancient cultures, definitely. And this did not happen. And the simple reason for this is that they do not follow orders from everyone. I mean, sorry, but humans, but I mean, they will not follow your orders. And you should probably, I mean, be grateful for that, because again, if they would, that means that Earth would have died a long ago, like many thousands of years ago. So probably it's, I mean, take it like as something that is like, I mean, maybe disappointing, but also, I mean, from rational point of view, I mean, you should be glad that is the case. Now, who are they actually? What orders do they actually follow, and what happens when there is like a clash of like, I mean, authorities? These are a very interesting subject, and I've spoken about it in the past, but I don't want to get into it now. It's not my like, I mean, I spoke about it quite a bit, and this is very interesting, and I thought about it, and yeah, and this was actually as also like, I mean, I would say. Um, you can find like, I mean, I would say threads of these issues, or like, I mean, I would say clues to these issues like in my art as well, but it's not the time, and it's not it's not that it's not, I mean, critically important to speak about it now. So let's leave this discussion for or rediscussion for another time. But I mean, TLDR, why are they not all over the place? First, it's not certain that what you call nature in Earth or other places are not actually their creation. And second, I mean, the fact that you don't see them themselves cover the Earth is because humans cannot give them orders. If they could, I mean, they would have covered the Earth, I mean, inevitably, and I mean, it was kind of like a great goose scenario. So that's it for now.